content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning. John Mintz does not provide tax or legal advice. All decisions regarding the tax or legal implications of your investments should be made in connection with your independent tax or legal advisor.
Have you ever wondered why the rich get richer and others don't? Could it be that a small percentage of the population pay others to find, study, and execute on legal loopholes that exist with our financial life and make it easier for them to prosper? The answer is a resounding yes. This is the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. John has spent a lifetime researching and mastering the financial loopholes that he believes should be available to everyone. Join us as we explore different strategies that help you get farther faster towards building and enjoying a prosperous retirement.
Hello and welcome to the Secrets of the Wealthy with John Mintz. John, what is going on?
Well, all kinds of great stuff. I'm looking forward to this next show and looking forward to catching up with you as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is actually a part two. The last part was the beginning of this series, and it's not even a series, it's a two-parter, but really you're talking about the secrets, right? I mean, the podcast name is The Secrets of the Wealthy, and really you're starting to dive into some of these secrets. And I think we did the first four last time. Is that about right?
Yeah. Last time, well, I've named this "What Secrets" with a question mark because it's my goal to make a difference in the life of someone or some couple along the way, and these kinds of things that tend to be a secret shouldn't be a secret. So Hopefully that's the whole point of this call. And just to kind of sum up the last time for those that haven't listened to that, it might be of value to you to go back and listen to it. But what we talked about last time is some of the secrets of the wealthy and things that they do or don't do to acquire wealth. Why are they wealthy in retirement and others aren't? Mm-hmm. And so we talked about financial landmines. We got into the first four of those, and financial landmines being, those things, Eric, that hinder us from making really good, sound financial decisions along the way. If you make a series of, I have this saying that small things turn into big things if done consistently over time, mm-hmm. both good and bad.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this is about. If we continue to step on those landmines and make, poor financial decisions, we're never going to get to where we want to go. And so those four, just real quickly, that we talked about last time, and then we'll continue on, is one was a lack of planning. Folks don't set goals. They don't measure their progress along the way, and they don't take the time to pay themselves first. And the second one was procrastination. We talked about the enormous cost of waiting to save versus not waiting. And then we talked about the third one being instant gratification, how folks I think one of the catch slogans for one of the banks somewhere along the way, credit card companies, was "You deserve it now," right? Mm-hmm. So, and so that's what we've been taught along the way. So, and then the fourth landmine we talked about was following the masses. And we said, why is it that 35% of the country is over 50, but only 6% of the country are millionaires? And obviously those 6% are doing something different than the other 29% of that 35% over 50. So we're going to continue on with those financial landmines today and talk through a few more today. Don't know how long that'll take, Eric. And then maybe we'll transition from there, how to turn those landmines, bad things, into something good next time, right?
Yeah, sounds good. So where do we start?
Well, I want to start with the next landmine, which I refer to, you probably heard this saying, analysis paralysis. And so, Zig Ziglar used to say, you don't have to be great to start, but you have to start to be great. And so it's always inevitable. I think you probably know by now that I don't turn anyone down that's been referred to me by someone I'm already working with. I tell them if it's important to them, it's important to me. And so, I get folks sometimes referred to me, they don't have a lot of money and and they're not young. And they come in and we talk about some things. My goal is just to leave them better than I found them. We talk about some ways that they can begin to save and start, playing catch up. And we'll get to the end, and inevitably they'll say, well, this all sounds really good. I just need to think about it. And, they don't have two nickels to rub together. And I'm thinking, well, what is it that you exactly need to think about? And it's that thinking, and they don't really mean I need to think about it. What they're really saying is, I need to think about if I want to give up these instant gratifications that I'm going to need to give up to start making progress, right?
Yeah, well, John, you can't tell me that I can't have my daily coffee. You can't tell me that I can't grab lunch on the go when I want to. Don't tell me these things. I don't want to hear that from you. I don't want to hear that I can't afford that $10,000 vacation and maybe I should look something a little bit smaller that maybe fits my budget. Because I really don't want to hear that from anybody, especially you.
Well, I will never forget early on, I had this one couple come in, and I'll never forget it. I had this couple come in, and as a lot of couples that come in, the man is dragged in by the woman. It's kind of funny, actually. And so it's why I say females are such good managers of money. But he comes in, and without even really knowing me well, he says, so you're the no fun guy, aren't you? I was like, well, I've never been called the no fun guy before, but hey, if that's what I need to be known as to you, I'm okay with it.
There you go.
But they have this false misunderstanding that if you either going to save and you're not really going to have a life now, or you'll have a life now and then you won't have anything later. And it's just not true at all. And so, I think wealthy folks in general, a lot of them have this sloppy momentum, as I call it, where, their idea is, I'm just going to keep moving forward. Yeah, I'm going to make some mistakes along the way. Yes, I might have to clean up a mess or two along the way. But if I just keep moving forward, something good's going to happen. And I think that's the way a lot of wealthy folks think. But anyway, that would be the fifth landmine. Next landmine is something I call false beliefs. So, for example, some folks would refer to this as get-rich-quick schemes. And some people don't believe them to be schemes. And I could come up with a lot of examples here, but the one I like to use is lottery tickets. And so I know individuals that spend $20 a day on lottery tickets at a convenience store. A day.
Oh, my Lord.
Yep. Yeah, and it's like, and if you ask them about it, why do you spend so much on lottery tickets? Then in their mind, it's just like $20. In that last episode, we talked about the amount of cash people were giving to their kids, and you just don't realize that if it's just $20, it's just $20. But then you realize how that adds up to, and in their minds, it's eventually going to come back to them. A, and B, it's like a hobby. Hey, everybody's got a hobby. This is my hobby. But if you multiply that out times 30 days times, 35 years between age 30 and 65 at a return of about 60%, that's about $854,000. So, you take that and combine that, the last show we talked about somebody saving $5 a day on coffee, which would amount to about $214,000. You add those two together, and you just became a millionaire.
Yeah.
So, I think the numbers is $1,068,000. So these are the kind of things that I think that people just got to check themselves before they wreck themselves. I think if somebody says it.
Yeah.
You just say, I really, if I just sit down and do the math on this, how many lotto tickets have to come through as winners for me to get to 854,000. And what's the chances of that happening? Obviously, we know the answer to that story, right? But so anyway, long story short, it's the tortoise and the hare kind of thing, right? I believe in being the tortoise, and in the true tortoise and the hare story, we know the tortoise won. And so I believe in slow, steady, methodical, guarantee success. That's the way I live my life, and that's the way I teach others to live their life. But next, in the next landmine, I could talk about this one for hours. It's the lack of generosity. And I don't think many people talk about this one, Eric. I think we don't talk about it because we're afraid we might step on somebody's toes, or we might upset somebody. We might seem holier than thou. It's not about that at all. In fact, it's the opposite. And it's the way I was raised, of course. My parents, both of my parents were givers, and I tell the story how I remember my whole life. I never remember my father having new clothes. In fact, many, many times as I became a teenager, I was kind of embarrassed at the way he dressed. Just because I didn't know any different. You didn't know what you didn't know. And I'm like, man, Dad, you could go get a new shirt every now and then, but the truth be told, he was giving it all to us. What little he had as a Baptist minister in Podunk, West Texas. But, the old saying, the law of generosity is the more you give, the more you will receive to give away. And, my wife, who you hear me talk about all the time, that's because she's awesome. And I don't just say that. I really do believe it and mean it. But she kind of kids every now and then. She'll be like, well, John, it's been a little while. Why don't we try to outgive God again? And I think his bounty is plentiful, so we probably can't outgive him. But every now and then we joke about that, because every time we try to give, over and above it, every single time we do that, it comes back to us. So I talked to folks early on about something I call the 10-20-70 rule. And this is something I made up really early on. And as opposed to folks thinking about how to grow and save and accumulate wealth on a numerical standpoint, meaning dollar standpoint. I just say $5 and then I save $100 or I save $1,000. Well, the problem with that is that your life is constantly changing. You're making more money, you're making less money. COVID check, or you get a tax return, or you have something happen to your car and you got to fix it. The monies that are coming in and out are constantly changing. So if the amount you're putting away is staying the same, it's not going to match up. But if your percentages stay the same, it's okay. So what I mean by that is this, 10-20-70. So if somebody says, I'm going to give away 10% of everything that comes into my household. So I didn't say where you had to give it to. I didn't say who you had to give it to. I just said you give it. And why is that? A, because it makes you feel really, really good.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else that can make me feel better than that. And B, because of the law of generosity. Because you give it away, the good book says it's going to come back tenfold. And so that's the first thing I try to teach folks. The second thing I teach them is to store, not save, okay, because most people save to spend, but store 20% of what they make. Well, then what's left over, 20% we're storing for the future, of course, and then what's left over is 70%. Well, that's what we live on.
Yeah.
That's how we pay our bills, that's our house, our car, our insurance, food, eating out. So if we have more to eat out on, great. If we don't, we don't. And so if I'm making $5,000 a month, right? I'm giving away $500. I'm saving $1,000. I'm living off of $3,500. Well, as time goes on, I start making more money. Now I'm making $10,000 a month. Well, guess what? I'm giving away $1,000. I'm storing $2,000. I'm living off of $7,000. So everything is better.
Yeah.
Life changes. Situation gets worse. All three pull back. And so that's what I mean by this 10-20-70 rule. Folks don't usually start there when I first see them the first time. And I'm talking about folks that are referred to me from individuals I'm working with that already have money. They're like, will you help my kids? Or will you help my sister? And the answer is always yes, of course. Because I just love teaching and I love seeing people get rewarded. But if you don't have some sort of rule, I'm talking to the audience here, if you don't have some sort of rule that you're living by that governs how your household, distributes money that comes into it, then it's gonna rule you if you don't rule it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And,
So go
before
ahead.
you get off that subject, I do want to say one thing. I think you hit the nail on the head when you said there's really nothing that makes you feel better than being able to give generously. And even if you're, listening to this and you're not at a point where you can give a ton, understand that there are other people that want to give also. And so just one example, my wife and I didn't have a ton of money early on, but we did have an extra vehicle. And it was a good car, right? But it wasn't a great car. It didn't run the best. I'm not a mechanic. But what I did is I found a local mechanic that was a friend of ours that I said, I want to give this vehicle away. Do you know anybody who could use it? And would you be willing to just check it over, do a little bit of work on it if it needs it, and so that we can give this thing away to somebody who needs it. He immediately said, oh, I've got the perfect person. It's a single mother, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'd love to be a part of this. People want to be a part of something. And I've seen that time and time again. That's just one small example from our lives, not to pat myself on the back, because I certainly couldn't give away a great running car. It ran okay. But he made it run great for that single mom with, I think she had 2 kids. And it was a blessing to her. But I've also seen in different situations where people that do have wealth to give away will put out a challenge to other people and say, look, here's what I'm going to give, but I will also match dollar for dollar up to this amount. So now they're helping people to double the blessing to others by matching and getting other people excited about being on board with giving things away. So I love that you brought this up. You're right. People aren't talking about it. And whether people believe it or not, I would just throw down the gauntlet. Try it. Try to give some of your funds away. I love the 10-20-70 rule. Give that a shot and see how it changes your entire perspective.
Hey, man. Yeah, I, in this world I refer to all the chaos out there as noise. That's what I call it. It's just noise. And, we have to be aware of it, but at the same time, we can't let it distract us from our mission. So I talk all the time about, there's just, if you focus on that all day, every day, 24/7, social media, on your TV and all that, it can really get you, make you depressed. And and I'm talking to my friends sometime about this, and they're like, John, man, this is really getting to me, and the mask thing and this thing and that thing. It's just, Afghanistan, I don't know if I can deal with it. So I'll stop and I'll say, when's the last time you gave something away? And they're like, what do you mean? I said, well, just go give something away tomorrow. It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't really matter who it's to. Just give something away. Just take something that you don't use in your yard, put it on the front curb, and let somebody come by and pick it up that needs it. And I promise you, you'll feel less depressed. And they look at me like, oh, okay, maybe that'll work. So it's just what we're focused on. And so we just kind of have to change the way we think a bit. And I'm talking about it from the standpoint of, secrets of wealthy, because I unlike a lot of people, we talk about myths, and I think I looked at the statistics, that's hard to say, on our previous shows, and our most popular show to date has been our top 10 financial myths. Here's another one. Wealthy folks in general are not selfish. They're just not. Is there a few? Well, sure. There's a few in everything that we do. But they are, and for the most part, at least my experience has been, they're givers, which is why they wealthy, because it comes back to them. And so anyway, I'll get off of that when I told you I could talk about that for a long time. But
I have no problem with that. Keep going.
Yeah, it's, I just love it. And I think it's what makes the world go round and makes us all good people that we are.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
Anyway, listen, I'm going to close this out, Eric, and that's, I went through quite a few financial landmines, but, these are the things that keep us from accumulating wealth and growing wealth. And, I'll try to transition this into next time and talk about what we're going to be talking about coming up. But, well, John, if I do one of these things, or if I do several of things, or what if I do all of these things, how do I get out of it? And I just say, find somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
Whether it's a friend or it's me or it's somebody that you know that's accumulated wealth that you don't really know that well, but you like to. Yeah, I always say don't take advice from somebody that you wouldn't trade places with. So,
That's great.
so find somebody that you respect more than yourself as it relates to what we're talking about, and just go ask them. Say, "Hey, would you help me? I need help." And guess what? They're going to be more than apt to help you. So next time we'll talk about, okay, hey John, I've conquered these landmines. I'm ready to start building and growing some wealth. Where do I do that? What's the best place to do that? So, we've talked about what a Roth IRA is. And next time, I'm going to be telling folks about what I refer to as a Roth on steroids. It's some people would call it a super Roth. Does everything a Roth IRA does, but way better and way more efficient. So if you don't like taxes, I don't care if you're 8 or 80. You're going to like this one.
Yeah. Wow, that's a teaser. All right, Roth on steroids. I'm looking forward to it. I've never heard you say that before, so I am super excited about learning something new from you. I learn something every time. It's funny because I learn more about your personality, I think, on these podcasts than I do anything else, and I love it. I love where you're going with this. I love the fact that you're unashamed, unabashedly able to say, hey, this is what I believe in. And, being generous is just a part of your nature. I know that because that's why you created this podcast. For those that are listening, I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke, but bottom line is that John puts this out for your education. He puts this out for the masses. He does, there's a production involved in this, and he's doing this all for free for you. So I hope that you listen to what he says. It's a lot of good wisdom. I hope you subscribe to the podcast. And more importantly, I hope that you reach out if you're ready for this step and saying, hey, John, like you said, finding somebody, you're the person that I want to talk to about this. And to enable you to do that, John, can you give them some contact information so they can reach out to you?
Yes, I sure can. The best way to get us is at our direct main office line, which is 817-225-6260.
All right. John, again, thank you so much for your time today and all the things that you provide for this audience.
My pleasure, Eric.
All right. And of course, our last thank you goes to you, listening audience. We wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. If you have not subscribed to the podcast yet, please click the subscribe now button below. This way, when John comes out with a new podcast, it'll show up directly on your listening device. This makes it much easier to share these podcasts with your friends and family. Again, thanks for listening today. For everyone at the Secrets of the Wealthy, this is Eric Johnson reminding you to live your best day every day. And we'll see you next time.
Thank you for listening to the Secrets of the Wealthy podcast with John Mintz. Click the subscribe button below to be notified when new episodes become available. The information covered and posted represents the views and opinions of the guest and does not necessarily represent the views or opinions of John Mintz. The content has been made available for informational and educational purposes only. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional investing advice. Always seek the advice of your financial advisor or other qualified financial service provider with any questions you may have regarding your investment planning.